Welcome to another edition of the Talking to Myself Monologues. I am your host and curator, Milton Hall. I'm bringing information for the comedian. If you're a brand new comedian that's just starting out, that want to know some pointers, some tips, or anything that I have to offer, this is the place you want to be. Today's topic, I'm not really going to get into too much as far as with information-wise, or maybe I will. I just want to really just talk about this whole thing with this stand-up comedian versus internet comedian, quote-unquote, beef. Let me explain something to y'all. Ain't no such thing in comedy as beef. Because you know what beef is? What's beef? Beef is when you need two gats to go to sleep. Beef is when your moms ain't safe up in the streets. Beef is when ICU guaranteed to be in ICU. One more time, what's beef? Beef is when you make your enemies start your Jeep. Beef is when you roll no less than 30 deep. Beef is when ICU guaranteed to be in ICU. And ain't nobody in no goddamn comedy trying to put a nigga in ICU, because bitch, we trying to make people laugh. That's what the whole comedy game is for. I personally believe that stand-up comedians and internet comedians have their place. And I also believe that both worlds should respect each other's places. However, me being a stand-up comedian and me coming from, well, actually starting my origins as in comedy as a stand-up comedian, I do have more of a bias towards stand-up comedians, not because I am one, but because I know what we go through. What online comedians and online personalities will never have to feel or go through in their journey to their success ain't the same as what stand-up comedians will have to go through, obviously. And what irritates a lot of stand-up comedians isn't the fact that you online doing your thing. We don't really give a fuck about what you're doing online. That's you, that's your world. But it's when you become this big personality online and you take yourself to these, or you get booked by these colleges and other shows, and the promoters, unbeknownst to them, don't know that you don't really get on stage to tell these jokes, and don't really realize that what you do on your cell phone or in front of a camera don't really translate on stage as a stand-up comedian. And what that does inevitably is it messes it up in the long run for we stand-up comedians who try to get booked at said venues that you have previously performed at, and the institution or the promoter says, nah, we're not going to do comedy at this venue anymore because we had X, Y, and Z from the internet come and he stunk up the joint. What you're going to have to do is, I'm going to just piggyback off of what comedian Steve Brown said, was let people know, or even put in your bio, that you aren't really a stand-up comedian. Put your online personality, or even don't be swayed by the monetary figures that these promoters are throwing in your face because they want you at their school. If you are gonna get booked at a school, please let these motherfuckers know that, hey, I don't do stage jokes. If you hand me a Samsung and an iPhone, bitch, I kill it. But as far as with a microphone, that ain't me. That's one thing I want y'all online comedians to do, is when y'all hear these promoters talking about putting on a stand-up show that you know for a fact that you really can't do, you gotta give them the disgruntled face, like you gotta do it with that throat too. Yeah, as far as with that, I can't do that, brother. Give me a couple months, maybe 2 years or something. I'll probably have like a good 10 minutes, but I can't do that. Because you messing it up for people like us. But I think the real problem, other than y'all fucking up the money, that is just the struggle it is just to even be considered a stand-up comedian. Because stand-up is an art form that isn't highly respected and doesn't really get the respect that it deserves, because on any given night, in anywhere, any parts of the world, there are a lot of stand-up comedians that's coming up that don't have many places to go. They have to wait weeks at a time sometimes just to get on stage one time a week just to perform and do their act. And even in that one time of them doing their act, they're doing it in places conducive that are not conducive, for stand-up comedy, i.e. bars where you got drunk patrons. They might have a birthday celebration going on and everybody at the birthday celebration is all drunk and obnoxious, and for the 5 people that are there that you're trying to perform to, 3 of them don't give a fuck that you're there. 1 of them didn't even know it was a comedy show, and there might be that 1 person that is actually there for the comedy show just to support and help us stand-up comics move the comedy culture forward. And also in between all that, you got TVs on, sports might be on, and depending on what season it is and the venue, and depending on the season might be showing a Mayweather fight or the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals. So you got to fight all these elements, and not only fight these elements, if you're a brand new comedian, remember your jokes, remember the timing of your jokes, keep the delivery, the voice inflection, remember to put facial expressions in your act, because all that has to do with a successful stand-up show. A lot of people just believe that since that these stand-up comedians just get on stage and tell these jokes and make it look easy. But you got to remember that is hours and hours and hours of preparation that you, for some comedians, don't even see before they even get on stage, that they do before you see them deliver that performance. 10 minutes of fire material took countless hours, man. It takes hours just to develop 10 minutes, bro. And I think that's where the frustration comes in with a lot of these internet and stand-up comedians. But understand this. We are all under this comedy umbrella. And we all in it to do our thing, man. I personally, as a stand-up comedian, I ain't got no problem with I don't got a problem with you getting your hustle on and doing your thing. But what I do have a problem is the miscommunication, the false sense of belief that a lot of promoters, in which, in all honesty, isn't the online comedian's fault. At least 100% of it is not his fault when their school or their town wants this certain internet comedian to come through there, and they're tossing this money in their face and they see the opportunity to make these bucks. But all I would ask these online comedians that don't do stand-up, that all they are doing is just coming straight from online to get on stage, all I would ask y'all to do is just think about the culture. Think about the stand-up comedy community. Think about comedy in totality, and think about the mouths you feed, or the food that you take out of the mouths of the stand-up comedians that actually do this for a living and can perform and can deliver on a stage of that nature. Consider those people before you take the money that they're giving out to have you come out to perform stand-up comedy, knowing damn well you can't do 5 to 10 minutes on stage, let alone a half hour for what they booking a lot of these online comedians to do anyway. Because at that point, when you go up there and you stink the place up because you ain't got no material, you cutting off the pipeline for other stand-up comedians to follow after you. Which in hindsight goes back to my original statement, is that stand-up comedians pretty much don't get respected until you put in 10, 15 years in the game. And that's a lot of things that a lot of people don't remember, is that your Kevin Hart's, your Cat Williams, your Jerry Seinfeld's, your Dave Chappelle's. Granted, most of them probably got some kind of notoriety within 10 years, but a lot of these dudes don't get to a certain level of status or fame until 10, 15 years, some 20 years in the game. Billy Crystal, he wasn't known for 20 years after he became a stand-up comedian or said he wanted to do comedy. Another one was Joe Coy. Kevin Hart is in year 16 or 17 of stand-up comedy, man. Bill Cosby still doing it. So stand-up comedy is a process. It's not as easy as pulling out your phone and doing an Instagram video or whatever the case may be. And I also understand that doing them Instagrams and Vines, that ain't no easy work either. But however y'all do it, that do thrive and do well in those on those sites, I honestly do commend y'all. But I just wanted to talk about that and just say that there is no goddamn beef. There is no such thing as comedy and beef. That beef shit is for the streets. And most of the people that's in comedy that are doing well left the streets for a goddamn reason. And that's the shit that I don't understand sometimes, is that the people that leave the streets to find better avenues so that they can leave the streets alone inevitably try to bring the street element into that venue that they was trying to get out of. If that's what you wanted to do and keep doing, motherfucker, why you just ain't stay in the streets? Like, just kill me with that shit. But that's a whole nother topic within itself. But anyway, that's all I wanted to talk to you all about. Go ahead and leave a comment, subscribe, share this video to other comedians that you know that may need to hear this message. And leave topics you want me to talk about, man, so that I can touch on, because I'm here to help. I'm here to inspire. This isn't a podcast. You got so many podcasts that you can listen to. This is not a podcast. This is more like a monologue. This is something different, man. I'm not here to leave you just entertained. I'm also trying to leave a legacy. So that way, up and coming comedians, when they say when they need a voice, or they need instruction, or they need motivation, or they need whatever it is they need, they have these tapes. I said tapes, like this is the 80s or some shit. They have these recordings to fall back on, and they also have the comfort of knowing that the recordings that they're listening to were made from somebody that was, or probably still is, in a position that they're in right now, or getting out of that position. So we gonna all grow together, man, because that's the name of the game. This has been another Talk to Myself Monologues. I am your host and curator, comedian Milton Hall. You all have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Live, love, laugh, and don't ever, 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 ever give up on your dreams, because they will come true. The only way you can fail is if you quit. This has been comedian Milton Hall. Over and out.